And we're back. Part two of the housing market update for March. So in this one, we're going to be breaking down the zip codes that you guys requested. I appreciate all your help with that. Without you, I wouldn't be able to have this video created. So the first viewer we have here is going to be Caroline. So she requested 3477 we won. If you can see here, the amount in inventory has definitely increased. If you don't know the St. Cloud area, there has been a lot of construction there the past couple of years through the migration, and there has been a lot of new construction going up over there as well, but I don't believe this counts because they try to separate resale from new construction as far as I'm aware. But if you see, this has shot up, and St. Cloud was a mostly agricultural rural area, a lot of cattle, stuff like that, farms, and so a lot of that has been gone and taken away for some building. So keep that in mind as we're going through the video. So this is how I'm going to break it down, and we're going to just kind of do it tab by tab so I can explain it to you. So first we're going to go through the active inventory, then we're going to break down the higher price points in those markets, and then we're going to break it down low points in the markets just so I can explain better to you on the median prices, and then we're going to wrap up that zip code with the median price. So let's get into it because we have a lot of data to get into. So zip code 34771 St. Cloud. Currently, right now, we have 373 houses on the market from the old peak of 249 back in August of 2008. So if you can see here, this is obviously the line that we're following for the active inventory levels, and that's going to be 400,000 to 600,000. There is a little bit of inventory here, under 400 to 300, but not much. And anything under that is almost non-existent. And as you can see back in 2008, how shifted, right? Here's the point of what I'm trying to explain to you guys is the amount of inventory on the market for the median to come down. It will come down because you're having that much more inventory in the market, but because we don't have anything in these lower price points like we used to back in 2008, like you can see, it's going to be harder to have that, that 50% crash that we had back in 2008. I'm not saying it can't happen, right? I'm not a fortune teller, but I'm saying it's going to be difficult for it to happen. But there are definitely going to be a lot of price decreases because we have a lot of inventory in that zip code. But what does that actually mean? Because on the median, we're still at 488, 495. And you can see, it has gone up and then down a little bit. And so it's going to be interesting to see what we got moving forward into that zip code. But honestly, 488, and with the amount of inventory that's on the market, yeah, I don't see prices coming down anything significantly coming anytime in the future. So maybe go up a little bit, maybe go flat, but I don't see prices coming down anytime in the near future. So next zip code is going to be 32819. Tamron, thank you for your request here. As you can see right now, we have currently 85 houses on the market there. It's not much inventory. And there used to be 261 units back in 2008. And so you can see here, seems like a pretty expensive zip code. A lot of inventory is coming in the luxury market. Million plus, and then we're getting to 600,000, 400, 600,000. There's not very many units here at all under 400,000. So let's go into the cheaper prices. So again, pay attention to these prices as I'm scrolling through, guys. So as you can see, there is nothing under, let's see, there's 3 units under 300,000 right now. So, well, no, there's actually one, zero. There is 0 currently. There was 3 last month, but now there's none. So again, back then, we had a lot of inventory in those price points, but now it's pretty much flat. So let's check out okay, so we're going to need, so this is a very volatile market. This is a market where, because of how bifurcated all this dollar amount is, it's going to be hard to navigate any sort of stability throughout the market. But I would run probably these center lines here to kind of find an average, because this one is just up and down, guys. Like, I mean, you went from 979,000 to the next month 673,000. I mean, that's like a 30% crash over month over month. So this is a very volatile market that can definitely be misconcepted, I guess. If you can see, like, look at here, all the price tiers, back for the median sales price. So I mean, this thing is constantly crashing up and down. it's a constant crash up and down. So, every zip code is different, every market's different. This is why it's important for you to get hyper local with your market. And, not just even through the metropolitan. Obviously, we gotta really, zoom in to where we're at and see what's going on in that market, because not every market's going to react to the same here in Florida. There's going to be markets, that's going to crash. There's going to be markets that are going to correct. There's going to be markets that stabilize. There's going to be markets that go up. So just remember, not every housing market is the same. Thank you, Tamarin. Next is going to be Liz's zip code she requested. We're at 112 units currently in that zip code right now, down from the peak of 750. As you can see here, this is more of an affordable zip code here. Definitely not very many units that are very expensive, but it seems like the inventory is on the uptick, just a little bit, moving sideways towards the 600,000 under to 400,000, and then it looks like we're starting to drop off here once we get under that 400,000 mark. And you can see this how this decline just happens back in 2008. So let's move on to the next chart, because then it'll break it down more on what used to be back in 2008. So if you look again here at the price points, right, there's almost nothing on the market, under $300,000 at this moment. And there was a lot of units back then in those days. This was again another affordable housing market back in the time, and this was more when it was a balanced market. Even though prices were ticking up, but there was a lot of give back that shouldn't have actually went back all the way. But the economy was definitely different back then. The next one, she requested 3, so this is the third one here. Oh no, I'm sorry. This one's the median sales price. So I apologize. So the median sales price, as you're seeing here, it has came down from its peak of 535,000, and now they're currently at 488,000, and it looks like they're moving a little bit of swing up, which over the past couple of years looks like, it really just depends, but most of these markets, yeah. So, but yeah, I would say this is due seasonality. Probably tick up a little bit, for the rest of the year until the summertime. So moving forward, the next one she requested was 32825. We're still in Orlando. Currently, we have a total of 108 units, and the peak was 602. The active inventory currently in these price points here, most of it looks like it's going to be from the 400,000 to 600,000 mark, and also the 300 to 400,000 mark. It looks like they're just starting to meet each other and maybe have a little bit of separation there. But there's not anything on the over the million, so that's going to help not keep pushing those prices up for the median. And so we'll get to the next chart here. And so this is where the inventory was back in those days. So that's where we had such a high price crash back in the day, because there was just so much inventory in these lower price points. So moving forward onto the median price, so it looks like we came down just a little bit, about $6,000, almost $7,000 month over month there. And we're off the peak of 429,500 to 403,000. But it's still pretty much moving sideways. There was a little bit of a dip here in 2003. So if you caught the low in January 24, congratulations. You pretty much met the market back in 22, and also the peak in 21. So you probably got a good deal, because now you appreciate it. And maybe we're starting to roll here. If you follow my mouse, you roll in here on the trough and maybe go back up, but we'll see as the year goes by and things change in the economy. So now we're on the third one that she requested, 32829. Currently we're at 37 units off the peak of 246. The active inventory at the price points, again, not many, $1 million home and above. And then again, most of your inventory is going to be in that 400,000 to 999,000, but mostly being that 400 to 600,000. And so let's go into what was in 2008. And as you can see, there was a lot of inventory at lower price points back then. And then everything, it seems like if you start looking at 2013 moving forward to 2019, 2020, a lot of the inventory was definitely more balanced. So this was an easier market to be able to kind of navigate, in the sense of where prices could go. But because there's so much bifurcation now, it's just going to be A little bit harder for them to come down, but they can still. Now the median sales price. So now it looks like we're just a tick up a little bit. We're off the peak from 623, 440 to 480,000. And again, this one seems like another one of those kind of volatile markets where prices go up and down. They crash up and down month over month. So these are going to be a little bit harder to track over month. But me, like, I always just kind of picture an imaginary line at the bottoms to kind of see where the prices could go into the future. And I would always stick on the low end instead of the top end, or maybe meet somewhere in the middle, just to kind of see where the sales price could stick around. And that's a big gap. Like, to be able to navigate that would be really difficult month over month, to know what how equities fluctuate around that market. All right, so the next one, this one's for Maria. She requested 33,837 in Davenport. So there is a lot of inventory in that market right now. Currently 632 units. Back in 2008 there was 455. And so here's where the inventory is at. Most of it is between $300,000 and $400,000. There was a little bit of a tick down there, also including 400 to 600,000, little tick down there. And so there is a few $1 million plus houses. There's a few 600 and up, houses there, 600,000 and up. So there is a good chance that the median will keep traveling with this. And let me just see, jump ahead of myself here. 394. So between these two, yeah, that makes sense, because this is the most inventory, so it's gonna tread somewhere in the middle. That means it's gonna tread somewhere between the mid high threes to the low fours, but probably more than likely it's gonna be those high threes moving forward. And as you can see, where did it go? Here it is. So the lower price points there, there's not very many on the market right now under 250,000, if any. There's only 4 units right now. It's 240 and below. Everything else on that graph is on the way up. So let's see where their median sales price is at. Yeah, so 395. So I can definitely see this just kind of moving sideways, moving forward. Let's see here. The next one, Haines City. This one's from Jesus. Appreciate your request. So right now we have a lot more inventory now, definitely. And if you don't know, it's important to keep in mind too, as you're going through these zip codes, as to what was back then to what is now, right? We had a lot of migration. We've had a lot of building. We've had a lot of people, absorb the inventory, but also create inventory throughout the years. And what happens is, as you start getting those listings, right, people needed to move, people get married, people have babies, life situations happen, and that can cause, different things for inventory to go up and down. And also, more than anything, migration for this specifically, because we had a lot of people move in and absorb that inventory, and now they're putting it back onto the market. So let's break that down, because it looks pretty scary there, but is it? So right now, there's not very many units that are over $1 million or 600,000. Once you start getting into that $300,000 to $400,000 mark, is where most your inventory is. And without even looking at the median yet, I'm gonna guess that it's probably gonna be somewhere in the mid to high threes, but probably not cross over into the fours. And then just so you can see real quick, the inventory on the market right now. And actually, this is quite a bit of inventory. How many mark? 78. Can you tell that I didn't actually look? Okay, so there's only 78 units. So this looks more, okay, yeah, because this looks more than what it really is. So all right, that makes sense. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go mid threes on this one here, and mid low threes. Okay. So, we're 323,000. Let me just go back to, so this is definitely pulling that price down, and this is keeping it up. So you're gonna find your median between those two lines there, because there isn't very many above 400,000. you have more inventory units here that could sell between 250 and 300 versus what 400 to 600,000. So that makes sense why that median is where it's at because of that amount of inventory that's transacting. The next one he requested, 33897. We have a little bit of inventory tick up month over month, 254 units from the peak, 619. Moving into the active inventory prices, 400,000 to 600,000 seems to be the popular one. 600 to 999,000 is moving kind of in line with the 300 to 400,000 currently. And then there is some $1 million homes on the market right now. Let's see anything under. So there's 3 units right now on under 300,000. And you can see how much in the dollar amount inventory was back in the day, and there's just nothing, pretty much under 250,000. So I'm gonna say on this one, so somewhere in between 4. God, this is gonna be really because this one's moving kind of with each other. I'm gonna say 4. Davenport. I'm gonna say high 3s, low 4s for the median. And yeah, so we're at 405. Okay, and prices have been coming down there. They have that trajectory of prices coming down from the peak 460 to 405. So there has been definitely a correction there over the past 2 years. I wouldn't say 397 but year on year, they're up actually year on year. March 2024, 397. So they're under 400,000. Now they're over 500. So the prices did go up year over year, but trajectories as of right now, it looks like it's going down a little bit. All right, now we're going back to Orlando. This request was made by Amy. So Amy, I appreciate you chiming in and leaving a comment there and let me know what you wanted to look at. So right now, currently we have 64 units on the market. Back in the day in 2008, and we had 150. And let's go into the active inventory. So, there's not very many units on the market, just in general in this zip code. So this is interesting. So 300, 400,000, 20 units. There's not anything over $1 million. There's just a few under 6. What's the lower price points here? So the most inventory is going to be 2. Okay, so between 3 and 4 and 250. I'm going to guess the low 3s, high 2s for the median in this one. Probably lower 3s, my guess. And the median, oh no, wow, we're at 265 for the median in that zip code. Interesting. How many? 20? There's actually, so there's 20. Oh, 20 and 28. Okay, so yeah, they're moving. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that could definitely make sense when you're lined up the way that is. God, it's hard to really look at these graphs when you're switching it over this way when it's that big of a difference and you can't really see. So, but yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Prices have came down off the peak from 313 to 265. And that's actually a pretty good significant amount. Let me do the math on that real quick because I would call that definitely a crash right there, guys. Let's see here. So we went from 313 to 265. So yeah, that's about 14%, 15% crash right there. That's I mean, if depending on your definition of a crash, that's typically, like I said, 10% is what a lot of housing analysts consider year over year, and that actually happened quicker than that. So this zip code could actually keep going down into the future. Maybe it'll go up a little bit into the summertime, but I can probably see prices calming down in this market for sure. So I hope you guys found that worth the value. I hope you guys liked that little bit of a breakdown. Like I said, it is very important to break this stuff down hyper local, guys, because every market's going to react differently. Even down to the subdivision, it's not just the zip code. All right, yeah, guys. So yeah, so that's gonna be the zip codes you guys requested. If you have yourself, you're looking at this and you're interested in what's going on in your market, definitely leave it down in the comments because again, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for y'all, and I would love to help you understand your market more. As you can tell, a lot of it can be really hard to navigate with a lot of that volatility you've seen with some of those markets where it's crashing up and down month over month. But it's real estate. It can move really fast. It can move really slow. It just really depends on the zip code, the area you're looking for, what's available at the market, at what prices it is. Can the economy, the incomes that are in that market, right? Migration has a lot to do with a lot of it. So yeah, so I really hope you guys found this worth of value. Again, drop your if you got any zip code requirement or zip code requests, leave them in the comments so I can help you out. And if you want to meet in person and we can sit down and have a conversation, to sit down and have a conversation, either over in person or over Zoom, so that way we can get a better idea of what's going on in your local housing market. If you're thinking about selling, or if you're thinking about buying and you want to know what's going on in those certain zip codes, I'd be happy to help you out. That's what I'm here for, you guys. Right now, I'm currently working with a buyer right now, and it's getting interesting seeing the differences of things moving around with prices and also the price decreases and seeing what's actually available on the market for the prices. So it's been interesting to see what's been coming onto the market and at what prices. And there's definitely inventory coming back on though, guys. Like there's a lot of inventory that's hanging around that hasn't been selling or going back onto the market for whatever reason. So like I said, I do expect for inventory to continue to increase through the rest of the year, which again will bring price pressures. But just remember that we have to dissect that line in order for us to understand what's really going on in that market, price wise for the inventory levels, because not every price level is created equally, and that was what's gonna differentiate your zip codes to your zip codes to the rest of the markets outside of the states, to your metropolitan, like I broke it down in part one. So yeah, this was a lot of fun, guys. This is a lot of data. I didn't think I was gonna make a part two, but I got 40 minutes into part one, and I was like, okay, this is enough. We're gonna save it for part two because I know it can get drawn out and boring for a lot of people because they're just not really data driven, and that's okay. Like this is what I'm here for, to make sure that those who are not aware can become aware. And I have a fun time doing it. I love doing this stuff. So I hope you had a great time here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you found it educational, if you liked the video, if you found it worth the value, please like and subscribe. I do spend quite a bit of time doing these videos and pulling up all these charts and everything. It does get a little bit of effort. So if you could please like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me right now. I appreciate that. Have a great day. Take care.